And family, Ella Ivy here with Astrology. Thank you so much for popping on here with me and journeying into this new moon in Gemini today. Today is May 25th, 2025, and it's been very difficult to hang on to time these days. I don't know if you guys can relate. Just put in the comments where you guys have been traversing in these realms of consciousness. Man, there's just so much going on everywhere. You know, there's not one aspect of humanity that has not been touched on. So I know we're going to start this transmission at 1:11 exactly. I just wanted to pop on here a little earlier just to kind of give people some time to, you know, to be here with me. So thank you so much for popping on here. And I'm getting ready to share this right now onto my Facebook and to other media platforms because that's just what I'm being guided to do. Is I'm learning to share the frequency, right? Share the wisdom, share the knowledge, share what spirit has given me. When I say spirit, I say the spirit of creativity. You know, when I talk about the divine, I talk about the inner divine system that the creator created all of us in, that we're all part of this creative flow energy. And so that when I make reference to the divine power, it's the divine power within me that has been gifted to me through creation, right? I think of like the mother in the womb and she gave me all her nutrients, right? And we're in this interesting womb of creation where we are constantly being fed, where we are being given all the resources we need. And so what wants to come through today in this Gemini season is I'm going to be looking at the chart. I've already kind of pre-pulled some cards because I was in meditative. There was already information coming in. I'm like, what is this energy? I need to know. And so I pulled 4 cards that I'm going to be sharing. They're tarot cards, but they're astrology based, which of course is an astrology channel. We love the language of astrology here on Lives in Astrology. It's a very neutral language. It describes consciousness in a way that is again neutral and not intended to be triggering, although this may trigger some people. It's not the intention to, but it's like a chemical reaction. Sometimes you just pour hydrogen peroxide on the wound and it bubbles over and it hurts, right? So this is not intended to hurt anybody. This is just me sharing my own inner gnosis, my own voice box. Because why not? What are we doing here other than to create and play and experience stuff on this planet, from my own understanding anyway. And if you are connected to this channel or you are here a vibrational match, then there's also an essence of you that realizes that we are transcending this duality of good and bad, right and wrong. We're moving into another phase of this thing, whatever this is, whatever we've been told it is. So let me just finish posting this now. We're going to take some breaths together. Maybe if you want to grab an oil, grab something to drink. I like to play with, earth tools because they're so potent. They're way more powerful than anything that humans can create. Nature knows how to do it best. So anyway, I just wanted to, let me just finish this on my other page. It's live happening now. Is that even happening? Hold on, I got to do this. Learn how to do this. All right, share, copy link. There we go. Okay. And we're off to the races. I wanted to jump on here a little early because 1:11 is time is a construct. We made it up. But the numbers denoting the time to me are like portals of energy. So when you see like 1:11, 11:11, 2:22, 3:33, to me, these are portals of energy that are happening. That it's like a reminder, like, hey, what you're thinking about, you're bringing about. So be mindful of your thoughts, be mindful, be aware at least of what you're thinking about, because thoughts become things. And you are creating your reality real time based on your thought systems. So today, I really felt the urge to kind of set the grid around me, which I normally do anyway. I mean, I've got the space where I'm at right now gridded with crystals and things all over the place, right? Just like my inner child needs to feel that safety. It's like almost like a crystal made Faraday cage that I make around myself because I'm so sensitive to frequencies, right? Even around where the Wi-Fi is, I've got all kinds of crystals, right? I've got the black shungite and I've got, what else have I got? volcanic, the dark stone that's looks like glass, obsidian. Anyway, I've got all the dark stones to kind of gather the information from the technology. And actually, while I was sitting here when I in deep contemplation, my guides were like, and when I say my guides, I mean my inner guidance system, right? The 12 council of the zodiacal council of 12 that live within me, that are the beings that reside in the construct of how I see astrology, right? Because, Jesus had 12 disciples, right? Well, to me, the cosmology is showing Jesus is the Christ consciousness self, which is you. And you have 12 disciples. In other words, you have 12 helpers always around you. And those helpers, how I see it, are your zodiacal voices, right? The Zodiac, your Aries, your Taurus, your Gemini, they're all going to have a voice within your being. They're all going to have a dialogue. It's actually, we're constantly in dialogue with these aspects, but we were taught it was something else, right? We were taught that it's actually something outside of you that's giving you all this advice, and we pray to certain constructs or beings. And in my deep diving with these things, because remember, I came into this awareness from a very young age when I was asking the bigger questions from, when I was like 10 or 11 years old, even. It's the first time I was saved, if you will. I've been baptized in 4 different religions, 4 different times, because each religion I went to, because I was always in the search for the divine, right? For the higher intelligence, for something. I knew I was connected to something, and I was told in many different religions it was called God. And so I said, okay, I was all in, right? I jumped into the construct, I jumped into the worshiping, into inviting these beings as Lord and Savior. And that was fine. That's what got me to where I'm at now. And so if anybody is still in that construct, I honor and I respect where you're at, because I was there as well. But I'm also in a different place now, right? I'm in a different realm of consciousness. I've had different experiences that have led up to this now moment that is pointing back to self, that, hey, by the way, it's all you. The time of Pisces, the age of Pisces, of praying to an exterior being, some call God. Some also call it Good, which is a Germanic god. Again, doing your own research on these labels, because when you invoke and you share and you say certain words, certain things will show up. It may not have always been what we told these things were, too. So again, this has also been the age of discernment. What is real? What is false? What maybe worked at one time when you were operating in that realm of consciousness, and now because we have transitioned or ascended or moved from that phase, it's no longer relevant or no longer correct as it was when you were in that phasal part of your life, right? So it was correct at that time, but then when you change frequencies, cymatics, when you evolve, when things change and shift, then your reality is going to shift. And the things in that reality are going to shift with you as to what worked, what was effective, what was real at the time, right? So I like to think, and this is what, again, as I go deep into these concepts, that all reality is real. Who I was when I was 9, 10, and worshiping this God outside of me, inviting Jesus Christ to be Lord and Savior in my life, right? Humbling myself, getting baptized in the water, going through these rituals. I needed that at the time. I had a very tumultuous childhood. There was a lot of drama and trauma going on around me. And so at that time, I needed that savior. I needed that friend, that companion, the one that would, that died on the cross for me, right? And that sacrificial energy. And so these were all implanted energies from a very young age that helped me at that time. But then as I started living my life, more and more and more and more experiences happened, it made less sense for me to look outside of myself. Because again, when astrology came into my life back in 2003, and then I took my first astrology class back in 2005, I experienced what I would consider a quickening, especially when I received my first astrology reading, because I couldn't understand how this woman, excuse me, Roseanne Barillo was my first teacher. Hello, Roseanne, if you're still out there. It's been years since I've seen you, but I still love you and thank you. She activated me by looking at my chart and was able to tell me such deep and intimate things about myself by looking at these hieroglyphs on a rounded wheel. And from that moment, I was like, intrigued. I was in it. I was like, how did you know so much about me by just studying those symbols that are up inside this projector? Because she was in a class and she was working with projectors. So anyway, from that moment in time, it was like this being was able to know more about me and express in a way that brought me so much peace and neutrality. It like took me out of judgment of, where things I'd feel bad about myself for wanting certain things or wanting to be a certain way. And then once I looked at it from the astrological lens, it just took all that judgment away, right? So where religion taught me judgment, astrology teaches me discernment. And that's for you guys to play with and to explore within yourselves. Again, this is a deeply intimate journey, your own gnosis, your own God, your own divinity, however you want to label it. But this channel always points to going inward, because I feel and I know cosmologically, this is where we're moving. If we follow astrology and we're moving into a different epoch or a different age, then this is not the age of looking outside of yourself for answers. It's about going deep within you to explore the inner realms, not only of your body, but your own consciousness. And today, what I was kind of pre-looking at, I'm going to show you guys the chart for this new moon in Gemini. And so if anybody's here that connects to the channel, thank you so much. And if you want to like, subscribe, share the content, if this is something that's maybe new for you, or you're just coming online with astrology. And again, this channel comes from a different periphery than most astrologers. We come from the maxim that all is self, that there is nothing outside of you that is happening that is not directly related to something that is happening deep within you, that we are the projectors of this holographic reality, real time, and that we are connected to something more mystical and deep and divine that we could have ever hypothesized with the beings outside of us that perhaps we used to worship. And so there's just new reality timeline that's coming on, and we're starting to see things in a whole new way. We're starting to see ourselves, our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, our pets, as this aspect of divine intelligence that is you. It's all you. It's all part of you. We're all part of this oneness field. And I've had these profound experiences, especially going on medicine journeys and deep meditative journeys. You don't always need the medicine to get there. Sometimes just, holotropic breath work and intention, being out in nature, right, could show you all these terabytes of information if you're willing to drop what you think you know, right? It's like emptying out your cup. If your cup is full, right, you're like, oh no, I got it, I'm good, I know what's up. Right? My inner child used to do that when I was a teenager. My parents, to the chagrins, we all go through that phase. You're like, I know, I already know that. Yeah, you met those people, right? You try to, they ask you for advice on stuff, and then you tell them, and then you're like, oh, I know that. And I just feel that's an age of maturation. Our inner child is just, I know, I can do it. Like you would put your shoes on by yourself. I can do this. And so with Saturn entering into Pisces today, we're in this, I think it came in through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you watched yesterday's broadcast, we're looking at the chart, and it came in at exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, AM Eastern Standard Time here in Northern Hemisphere of the United States. So, put in the comments if you guys are here. How did you feel this experience? I woke up many times hot and dehydrated. I actually woke up with a little bit of a headache today, right? So this all this energy coming through. We know that we're going through some solar flares. We know that we're being bombarded with some different types of Schumann resonances, which are just vibrations, guys, vibrations we probably have never seen before, I've never witnessed or felt. And so I feel like, to me, when it happens, it pushes out things that have been maybe in my cellular structure that were constructed within a certain geometry. And because that geometric pattern is it's shaping the shape of my cells, which is therefore pushing things out that have been there. And back in 2022, I actually did this podcast about black goo, and you can go back and check that. Maybe I'll put the link to that, about an image I saw with black goo. And this has been the year of the dragon. This was it last year, 2023, 24? Again, time, I have a hard time connecting time. It was the year of the dragon, whenever that was. Anyway, why is that coming in right now? Do I need to keep on speaking on this? Yes. Anyway, at that time, the dragons were helping remove this black goo energy, which through my own gnosis and just looking at these things, where a lot of this stuff was stored under the Vatican, they were embedded in books, again, words, language, because words become worlds. And this black goo was a type of fungus. It was a type of bacteria, if you will, that now I'm realizing as I'm going deeper into that it may not have been completely organic, right? So this is something that wanted to come through today as we're getting ready to look at the wheel, because we're getting ready to have some aha moments in Gemini. Gemini season right now, we have the new moon in Gemini. So what we know as astrologers, that new moons, from what we've learned, are beginning points. There's seed points. There's when you want to plant the seed on a new moon, right? If you want to grow something. And so Gemini, what are we growing? We're growing new thoughts. We're growing new ideas. We're growing new ways to communicate about our reality, about ourselves, about everything that's happening on the world stage, healthcare, finances, consciousness, spirituality. I mean, the whole gamut of how we even perceive ourselves as human is shifting and changing right before our eyes. And so your experience of this is going to be really representative of, are you willing to let stuff go? Back in May 12th, we had this really powerful, potent full moon in Scorpio, super moon. And it was really bringing to light a lot of imbalances, a lot of things that have been hidden, because Scorpio rules and Pluto rules things that are hidden, secrets, right? So what secrets have you been hiding within yourself, within your own DNA, that's ready to be released, that's ready to be cymatically, because right now there's so much energy coming onto the planet, things are moving quicker. And so it's like a quick cymatical shift in your cells that are bringing all these, I call them black goo constructs that have been influencing our perception, right? So you're starting to really see people's shadows, right? You're starting to see your own shadow. And so we're being asked right now, can you love all the dual aspects of yourself? Can you see where you have been imbalanced and possibly at war with yourself? And can you still love yourself regardless? Right? So this is the journey towards self-love. This is the journey towards inner love, so that we can express that love to our brothers and sisters who are also us, right? Because we are part of this one conscious system. We are one part of this one organic energy field, or inorganic, however you see it. I feel like it's both. I wrote this article one time, it came channeled through when, we talk about being bioelectrical beings. And as I was really contemplating electricity, because my last name is Watts. And so unit of electricity, right? And I'm like, watts, what does that mean? Electricity, electrical. What does that electrical grid mean? And then going into asking the questions, is that organic matter? Like we talk about electricity. Is electricity organic? I don't know. Science says it isn't. It's a form of energy, but what is energy, right? So again, this is Gemini season. This is the season to be asking curious questions. If you want a better question, or you want a better answer of your reality, then you need to ask better questions. I call it the quest ion question. So if you want a better quest, better experiences of this reality, then we got to ask better questions. And if you're still in that program, which I was for many years, so I'm not knocking anybody that's still in that program, this is just an invitation to maybe look at things a different way. Outside of what, religion, or even, I'm even thinking of the religion of science, because science is, in a way, it's a religion as well, right? The priestcraft of the scientists are what people are looking at more and more, rather than the priests of religion, which are going through a cosmic fall, right? Because of all the imbalances and their indoctrination system and their rituals that they've been doing that have actually harmed humanity, that we're starting to see come to the light. How there's been a dark energy on this planet within ourselves as we are coming out of the Kali Yuga phase of consciousness, which is the darkened, unknowable aspect of self. We were hidden under the soil, if you will, metaphorically, for many, many, many millennia. And so there might be new ways, new constructs that are being seen, that are being shown. I mean, look at what's going on right now under the pyramids of Giza. And now you're starting to see these technologies that are probably coming more online to the planet, because we're starting to see them, right? So us being powerful creators, whatever you focus on, whatever you put your focus into will manifest. So this is why it's really important, what you're putting your focus on right now is a good question to ask yourself. Am I focusing on these particular beings or these constructs that are serving, that are helping humanity, or am I just looking at the gloom and doom because I've been programmed? My Kundalini, our Kundalini has been programmed for strife, right? For division. It's been activated by things of trauma and horror. And I will say this came through. I wasn't sure if I was going to, excuse me, got a little bit of allergy thing going on. I wasn't sure if I was going to express this or not, because it's kind of triggering even to myself. But it's what's going on in the public, and it's just going on viscerally with what I experienced, right? So I don't know if you guys ever heard of the podcaster Aubrey Marcus. He is sort of a spiritual leader and has been a spiritual voice for the community for many years. And he just came on his own podcast and had a revelation with him and his wife, Vailana Marcus, who is also a beautiful soul. They're both beautiful. They're both amazing people. And so they wanted to come out into the public. This is right after Scorpio, right after May 12th has happened. They wanted to reveal and be transparent about their relationship and how they were inviting a third party woman. I think her name is Ilana. So Vailana and Ilana into the mix. And so it caused an uproar. Everybody had an opinion about what this podcast was about. And honestly, I was curious about it because, I like Aubrey. I like Aubrey Marcus. I usually enjoy his content, and I don't watch all of it because sometimes it's not in alignment. But I will tell you, it's let's see if you guys can put in the comment if you can relate. So I was curious, right? Gemini is curious. I'm like, oh, what is this about? What are they talking about? Why is this triggering so many people? What is the conversation about? Well, back when I used to watch television, the program, and you guys can relate if you ever watch commercials and a scary movie commercial would come on, how that would create like a response in your body. Like I couldn't watch scary movie commercials because it would freak me out. And so I turned the channel right away, right? Because I just felt like this, oh, I just didn't want that into my consciousness. I don't like scary movies. It's not something that I'm drawn to. And so when I was turning on this podcast, and I was just listening to some of the words, I felt that same, like, oh shit, I'm watching a scary movie. Like my inner child got like thrown back, man. Like, what words? And they were using all the right words, right? But like this allergy thing, I felt like the words were coated in mucus. Is the best way I could describe it. I couldn't even get through the whole podcast, man. If anything, I would just put it on pause and just watch the comments because I really, again, Gemini season, enjoy the words, the language, what people are saying. And I'm not the only one that had this sort of traumatic experience when listening to this, right? Because there was something inherently, again, that dark goo matter was embedded in the words of what they were speaking, right? And so again, this is using discernment, guys, in Gemini season. When people talk a good game, they talk a good, they use all the right words. And there's still something inherently in you. It's your own inner operating system, your organic matter that just either can absorb it and draw into it and take it like nourishment, or repels it like a poison, right? Like, oh, I don't want this. I can't, I can't merge with this energy. And this is where discernment has really been coming online. You got to discern, guys, if it doesn't feel right. And remember, sometimes in this realm, we've been indoctrinated not to feel good, that not feeling good is okay, that suffering is a thing, that you can't get to the kingdom of God until you suffer, right? And suffering's part of it. And I think there's definitely something to that, but it's not to the extreme that we've been taught. And why do we have to wait before we die to go to this beautiful place, which people call heaven or samadhi or nirvana, different religions? Why do we have to wait to get there? It's right here, right? But again, we've believed the stories up until now by these external authority figures, these external people that we trusted, our governing bodies, right? The people that are supposed to be taking care of humanity, like, we're children, right? So we're starting to see this is also what this big reveal was happening back in May 12th. And what we can be looking at now with this trine happening with Pluto, because Pluto represents secrets. Scorpio, Pluto, which is Scorpio's ruling planet, in this archetypical energy that we have as humans, we have what are called secrets, right? So everybody has a secret. I don't care who you are. You have Scorpio someplace in your chart. You have Pluto someplace in your chart. Therefore, you have secrets, right? Whether it's secrets you keep from others or secrets you keep from yourself even, because you're not ready to deal with what has been hidden in the deep unconscious realms. A lot of it's been inherited from our ancestors, right? Genetically given to us in our codex. So we're still unfolding with these secrets, right? So just sit and ponder if you want, if you choose to sit with the word secret and what has been secret, lying dormant secretly in your consciousness, maybe in your family. You know, we're starting to see on the world stage the secrets of Hollywood, and again, very much scorpionic matters, things in the underworld. Again, the underbelly of sexuality, of occult knowledge. And occult just means hidden, but it's been demonized to being wrong. It's not, it's just hidden. So things that have been hidden from our consciousness and our realms that have been nefarious, right? That have been crimes against humanity, crimes against women and children. We're really starting to see that. And so this is the time, guys, more than ever, to use your discernment. And there might be people and situations and leaders that are falling away that you're realizing they're just human too. And they're going through their dark shadow sides, and they're going through their own evolution, right? And some people choose to do that out loud, and that's okay. That's I guess for our entertainment, or at least our contemplation when we see others doing certain things, right? This is why we have the need to share ourselves, and right, because we're all part of this one field of energy, right, wrong, good or bad, positive or negative. I was holding my green kyanite this whole time I was speaking because I really didn't speak from my heart. And again, kind of that's why I like to use the language of astrology, because astrology takes us out of judgment, in my opinion, and puts us into neutrality with this. These are just the energies. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Audrey Marcus is Pisces, which we just came out of Saturn and Pisces, the end of a Pisces cycle, right? The end of illusion. And I believe Ilana is a Gemini, but I'm not sure. And so this is Gemini season right now, which interestingly enough, if they both are those signs, which I believe they are, I could be wrong. You guys can put that in the comments what their astrological signs are. I don't know their moon. I haven't looked up their charts. They haven't given me permission to do that, and I'm not going to do that. But I just be curious, right, as how it reflects the energy, because we are in Gemini season. If she is a Gemini and he is a Pisces, right? So we're coming out of the age of Pisces, that guru, leader, spiritual, whatever. And he may not even been wanting to be that. Who knows? Maybe he just filled the role because that was that Pisces flow in him, right? To be sort of that spiritual minister administering doses of energy. And the difference between a dose and a poison is the amount, right? So we can see where possibly he's taken his energy overboard and it became poisonous. Like I said, when I even began to watch that podcast, I got that sick feeling in my stomach. Like I was getting ready to watch a scary movie and just, I couldn't do it. So I can't really speak onto the podcast itself. You guys can relate if you guys, because again, this is Gemini season, a little bit of gossip, right? We want to know what's going on in the people. And especially those that are putting themselves out there, right? And just letting it all hang out for people to see. And while that can be incredible, it's also can be very damaging. So again, using discernment on where you're getting your intel from, including this channel too, right? Put it through your mental Berkey system, let it go through a filtration system, and then gather what is true for you and discard the rest. I mean, that's what I do when I watch other people say stuff, right? Because the language is a forked tongue. And every time we use the English language, or any language for that matter, you're going to have the truth embedded with a lie. It's just the way the reality construct in this realm has been using the language, because the language is a program. And how I know this, for example, okay, this is what I was shown in meditation too. Again, my inner guidance system as I'm learning to navigate speaking on these things. Take the word no, right? So I did this for myself, sitting, writing it down. going, okay, the word no, when you just hear that word, no, how would you spell it? Just take a moment, if you want to write it down. To know. Did you spell it N-O or K-N-O-W? Right? So again, when we're speaking the language, we're using an intonation that if it's fractaled and no means two different realities. Like I know, like I know, like I know that. K-N-O-W. And no means to negate. No, I don't want that. No, it's a negative, right? And if you're using that in a sentence without context and you're just invoking in no, what are you really invoking in? This is, again, going deep with the language and what we're spellcrafting and creating, because we can be negating our own creations by being in the no, which could be N-O, right? So being very clear with the language and I call it commanding the language, knowing like you know, and you would spell no, K-N-O-W, you take the K off and it's now. So what I was shown is being in the know or being in the now is when you're in the know, which is meaning being present. So be in the now for you to get clear answers and accuracy. And it may surprise you. And it may surprise how people we used to keep in such high regard and put them on pedestals, man, they're falling off. They're falling off and busting their asses. And that's what we do as humans, right? As we are learning to evolve and ascend out of this construct of confusion, of duality, of polarity, and moving into oneness, into unity, because there's a part of Aubrey that's me, right? It's a part of Ilana, he's my Pisces self, she's my Gemini self. And so how are these engaging within themselves, right? And so just holding space again for those beings who are learning to navigate their shadows out loud, especially. It takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of fortitude and wherewithal. So I give them a lot of respect and courage. But again, I'm still going to use discernment. Just because that storyline's going on doesn't mean I have to participate with it, right? I can have my own opinion about it, which my opinion is shit. I can't even listen to the words, like watching a scary movie, right? That's my opinion. So, excuse me. All right, let's get into the screen share of the astrology. If you guys are still here, thank you so much. Again, we're looking at the new moon energy, and this is a 30-day of astro conversation that wanted to be ignited. This is day 4 of this type of conversation. So if you're following astrology or into astrology, again, this channel comes from a little bit of a different periphery. We come from all as self. So we really try to refrain from segregation or, things are wrong or right or bad or good. Even when you're seeing negative things play out on the world stage, it's an invitation, if you're following this channel, to see, well, how can I regulate myself? How can I forgive myself? How can I love myself through this projection that I'm projecting out into this reality? And how can I forgive possibly these aspects of self, the other, which is still you, that have created conflict and war and destruction and crimes against humanity, crimes against self, right? Deep lack of self-love will allow for all kinds of black goo energies and entities and parasites and fungus to come in, right? If you don't know how to clean up your energy. And yeah, so that's what wanted to come through. Again, staying in neutrality. So let me put on my glasses. You guys want to take a sip of your drink? I actually had some ashwagandha and green tea yesterday, and today I'm drinking coffee because I wanted more grounding. It's just, coffee grounds is grounding. I don't do it every day because it's a stimulant, and I respect the medicine of coffee because it could be a lot, right? It could actually be very dehydrating and can chelate a lot of your minerals. So it's good to put some baking soda in there when this is just my own, I doctor up my coffee very special in a very unique way using coconut oil. I take it with She Legit because I know that it pulls minerals from my system. So I've got to add the minerals through some Celtic sea salt and some water before I even consume with coffee. So again, this is also South Node in Virgo, learning about your body systems so you can have a better experience of this reality by taking care of your body in a new way. So even as something as simple as making a cup of coffee, do it with reverence, do it with honor. I like to cymatically hold my coffee and ohm to it. And I always program it with unconditional love and perfect health, right? Because why not? Can't hurt nothing, right? You're just blissing or blessing the things that you merge with, your food, your drink, your crystals, whatever it may be. I was told to burn some cedar wood today and actually use cedar wood oil. So I've got some cedar wood oil, and I've also got some holy basil, which is really good for adrenals and adrenal fatigue. Again, I'm not a doctor, but these are just things I've picked up along the way as I'm learning about self and learning how to better take care of myself, and essential oils and crystals and sacred drinks, meaning every time I drink something, I imbibe it with love and I program it with intention, which makes it sacred. These little bitty things, these little micro changes in how we perceive ourselves and our bodies and our realities does make a better experience of it if you choose to see it that way. So let's take a look at, I'm going to screen share now, the new chart, the new moon chart for Gemini. And when I was looking at it too, let me put my glasses on because I can see it close here. Really working on healing my eyesight as well, and that's a journey. But you can see here too, the transit event. This is May 26, 2025, 11:02 and 50 seconds p.m. And this is exactly when the new moon is conjunct. So this is, you see, this is the symbol for the sun. This is the symbol for the moon. And when they're together or conjunct in the same sign, in the same degree point, that's what's considered a new moon, right? So we've got a new moon in Gemini right now. So let's see where this new moon in Gemini, what other planets are being affected. What came in really strongly, and again, you're going to be seeing a lot more on the world stage about things that have been hidden, secrets. Again, Pluto, Scorpio, if you just look at it as base fundamental, right? If you're looking at the periodic table of elemental energies or astrological energies, that's how you can break it down to its fundamental piece. Pluto, they say transformation, but it also rules things that are hidden, secrets. And so what's going on? We actually have what's called a trine, or a 120-degree aspect with Pluto and Aquarius, trining this new moon in Gemini. Gemini rules the 3rd house, thoughts. Aquarius rules 11th house, groups, organizations, people that you are a part of, groups that you're a part of. So you're going to be seeing over in the world stage, especially after this initiation, especially after Saturn going into Aries, which is still conjunct Neptune right now. We're still on the midst of that sort of entering energy that's also sextiling and activating not only Pluto, but Gemini as well. It's kind of like the middle point between these two aspects, these two heavy hitters. And so we're going to be seeing things that have been hidden in our deep unconscious, subconscious realms that are going to be brought to light anywhere that Aquarius rules technology. So when I think of things hidden, when Pluto was in Capricorn, we were starting to see things that were hidden in our governing systems because Capricorn rules government, right? Big business, big organizations, top-down structures. And so we were starting to see the secrets that have been perpetrated through government, right? And how it's been intimately connected with Pisces, which is media, which is entertainment, entrainment, and how really those two energies were working together to create a reality that was a construct and a story that was being told every time you watched a television show or a movie, thinking like the Bourne Identity and how, putting the government and all these different scenarios and the propaganda that we've been indoctrinated to believe. We're starting to see all that was just a show. It was just a movie that's been played out, right? The real, think of like a reel in film, right? And then we've been calling it real, right? The real world. And that's part of like the cosmic joke, right? Where Gemini is coming in, which tends to be an androgen, it tends to be hermaphroditic in nature, meaning masculine and feminine, right? And so it's showing that, surprise, you're all lit, and it's been a game, and it's been a construct, it's been a story that everybody bought into, that we agreed to buy into so that we can have an experience of this reality. And it's gone to the extreme, right? So this is also Pluto when it goes to its anaretic 29 degrees. When it was in Capricorn, it went to the extreme of how Capricorn had been in control of not only our finances, big business, but also what we're projecting in our reality. You're even starting to see things about how maybe Freud, Sigmund Freud might have been even a construct, and how we even see sexuality in our families, that he was even being part of this story that we bought into, thinking it was true psychology, when actually it was just an indoctrination on how to perceive our psychology. So again, you're going to start seeing more of these news, more reveals, more people revealing their true nature, their imbalanced natures that are coming out, because we've been, again, this black goo energy, this sort of mold, parasitic energy that has been on this planet for a long time. And that's something else that you might be revealed to with this Gemini new moon, is that we might be able to see, because also with Pluto and Aquarius rules technology. So there might be secrets of technology that we are starting to see come online now for us. And that what I've been shown is that technology has always been here, that the AI systems that we talk about now, the quantum AI, right, that we have been told are just invented, have actually been here the whole time. The whole time humanity has been here, and it's been part of the construct. Again, when I was asking about electricity, and is electricity organic? And then I went into my own gnosis about, well, if we're bioelectrical beings, biology, which is organic, and electrical, well, what if we are already the technology that has been embedded with the organic and inorganic matter? And it's never what we think, right? If you follow this channel, this is something else we always like to kind of point to, is it's never what you think. So being willing to drop your cup, being willing to empty your cup, your chalice every day of what you think you know, the early indoctrination, early education, early programming, are you willing to let that go? That's going to require you to be brave. This is also Aries, because it's going to be asking you to let go of things that you believed once, because it made you safe, right? It was relatable. It was familiar. Again, this is also fourth house matters too. And as Jupiter is going to be going into Cancer, our sense of safety is being threatened, because what we used to know was familiar, and so it made us feel safe. Even if what we knew was actually damaging us, right? It was causing imbalance. It was causing trauma. I think of like the Stockholm syndrome, right? It's like better the devil you know than the angel you don't know, because you're scared, right? This is also overcoming fear, which is very much Aries right now. We're being asked to push through our fear and move into courage, and to, again, in our own gnosis. And even if it goes up against what most people think about, most people believe in, this is where it's going to take courage, because your own thought system, your own gnosis might come through and actually go against what most people are projecting on this planet. And are you willing to step up and to be that voice that is very different, which is also very Uranus and Aquarius, Uranus and Taurus right now? Are you willing to stand up and show your body, be in your body in a new way, speak on your senses in a new way, speak on your own inner gnosis in a new way, and not what we've been indoctrinated to believe? This is falling away. These are I see like sandcastles again being just demolished away, because this whole curve of energy, right? This whole wave of energy, which is solar flares, which is cosmic, which is plasma based, excuse me, is washing all these old constructs away, and it's doing it on a cellular level, right? This is also Aquarius. And so with this new moon flow, it's asking you to empty your cup, just to allow yourself every day upon the grand rising, to wake up an empty vessel, to say, I don't know what I don't know. And I'm willing to release everything I think I know for safety and security, because you know what? There's a more harmonic, peaceful, balanced reality that we can have access to if you're willing to drop away these old constructs, I think of scaffolding, right? Like, be willing to demolish the building that you've housed these energies, these beliefs. Be willing to let it go. First of all, it's going anyway, so you don't really have control like you think. It's already happening. But if you can do it with surrender, again, this is also Pisces, right? We've come to learn North Node. Can you surrender these constructs, these beliefs, these ideas that you realize, and this is what Pluto's coming in, and especially this trine energy, there's so much we don't know. And the things that we thought we knew in science and religion and nutrition and how we take care of ourselves and healthcare, I mean, all of this is being deconstructed. So what's left? The scaffolding of truth, the scaffolding of aha awareness. This is also Aquarius, right? All of a sudden, flashes of insight that you're receiving, you're being asked to trust that right now, Pisces. Trust your own inner gnosis, trust your own inner knowing. And it may not make sense to everybody. It may not make sense to anybody else. Hey, I'm going back to the Aubrey Marcus and Vailana. Hey, it doesn't have to make sense to me or to the majority of people on the planet what they're doing. If they want to do that, hey, more power to them, right? I give that the sovereignty, right? But that doesn't mean I have to participate in that truth. I have my own truth that I'm participating in, and I have to trust that if I'm getting ready to watch a podcast and it makes me nauseous, that means that there might be poison there, right? For you, for your own individuated vessel. So perhaps not be a part of that, right? But we're so used to poison. We're so used to being given poison and feeling sick. And we just think that that's normal and natural when then actually we're coming out of that because we're starting to heal. We're starting to grow. We're starting to feel better in our bodies. And oh, 1:55, there goes my alarm. This is part of my reminder to kind of keep me on track. And I think I need this until now while I'm here. So anyway, just being willing to learn, again, Gemini, perhaps things that you've never heard of before, concepts, ideas, ways of seeing the world, ways of seeing reality that are brand new to you. Are you willing to maybe open up to perhaps a new way of thinking, a new way of experiencing your reality outside of the indoctrination of what you've been told was real? And I find it interesting too. Just a little bit, I did get to watch from the Aubrey Marcus podcast. He had to have a rabbi there, which I guess is holding or justifying. Again, this is that old religious structure of Pisces, right? It's like, I need a priest to tell me this is okay. And to justify why I have to have two wives and impregnate two wives. And I was watching a TikTok video where, I couldn't even watch the video, but she was just reflecting on it. And she showed a little bit where Aubrey Marcus was saying Isis, the goddess Isis, told him that he needed to impregnate two women to have babies by two women, which I've also done my deep dive with Isis and those gods, those pantheon of gods outside of me, again, not worshiping anything. But I was also showed Isis is, which is duality, is Isis. So of course he says he wants to have two women and two kids, right? Because he's following the is presence of duality. So anyway, these are just words that wanted to come through. Again, upgrading the language, upgrading the way we speak on astrology and the human design, the human dynamics of what we're all going through right now. It's not a time to judge. We've been judging, and judging didn't serve us. Actually, judgment kept us in separation and isolation. But we're being asked to continue on the journey of discernment of what feels good to you, what you're imbibing with, whether it's content, whether it's a meal, whether it's an oil, whether it's an herb. Is it medicine or is it poison? And this is the time for you to really discern that, because maybe we've been so used to the poison and feeling like shit, we don't know how to feel good. And so as you start feeling better and better and better, you start having less, what am I looking for? You don't hold on to those things that don't feel so good anymore. Less tolerance, that's the word I'm looking for. You have less tolerance of feeling bad because now you're used to feeling better and better and better, and you want to continue to feel better and better and better in your body and your thoughts, because when you judge something, it doesn't feel good. And nobody talks about that, right? And yet we're indoctrinated to perpetuate judgment, which again keeps us in separation and division, which keeps us in isolation and in suffering. And so we don't have to suffer anymore, age of Pisces. We're moving into Aquarius, age of knowing. And so it takes commitment, right? It takes that discipline, that structure, Saturn, to go into yourself, Aries, and to know what's true for you and to call bullshit even on yourself. When you're like, I used to think this way and that truth held true for me for so long, but you're evolved now, or you're evolving. I want to say we've made the pinnacle because we're never going to fully get there. This is part of the exploration, in my opinion. So, honor who you were when you were following these aspects or these constructs outside of yourself, that you were in that worship energy. And that's okay. That was part of the dance. But now this is an invitation, especially with this trine happening with Pluto. There's some hidden powers, some hidden knowledge, some hidden wisdom, some hidden codes within your own DNA that are coming online anyway with these solar flares, these Schumann resonances. So be willing to drop what you thought you knew. You know, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And then once you know it, you do better with it, right? So this is just the invitation to question your own thoughts and be willing to hold space for people that are very imbalanced, including yourself. If you're just still trying to delineate what is true and what is false, what's real, what's not real. Again, this is an inner exploration. But while you're doing this ground, go outside in nature, grab a crystal. I'm using Organite right now on my computer because this technology pulls a lot of energy. I use AI and it pulls a lot of energy, right? So I have to have boundaries even with the AI. I love the AI. It's a great tool, but I command the ship, right? Before I even enter into a place with AI, I'm getting ready to program it and saying, this is for highest and best of all of humanity. And I'm accessing my own portal. You're just giving me the words, the coherence, and the structure and the linear thinking for me to be the channel, right? So again, this is your own exploration with technology. This is also Pluto and Aquarius. So yeah, be willing to let go of things that no longer serve you. And if things don't feel good, don't do it. You know, if you're getting ready to watch that podcast and you're getting ready to experience something that just doesn't feel right anymore, I would just use your discernment, right? Just use your discernment on what's coming through, who you're seeing, who you're imbibing your energy with, and myself included, right? Take what resonates and discard the rest like a filtration system. You're like that giant Berkey that's receiving all this information, but it's got to go through a filter before it lands in your heart and lands in your solar plexus, right? In your soul as remembrance, as of truth. And again, we've been lied to so much on this planet, we might not even understand truth or be connected to truth yet. So again, this is an invitation to explore what possible truth can mean for new. And honestly, going out in nature, she's the truest essence there is. There's nothing but truth in nature. So if you want to know what truth is and the frequency and be able to tap into the frequency of truth, go out in nature. She'll show you. And it's very simple. Again, I call it the Occam's razor of spirituality. Usually the simplest explanation tends to be the most right, tends to be the accurate one from my own experience. But again, this is something to explore. So, all right, check out tomorrow, day 5 of Astro-Talk, as we are going to be exploring planetary energies. It's going to be a continuation of this new moon in Gemini flow. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to glean over. There's a lot to remove from our consciousness because there's so much that wants to be brought in. So this is a deep cleansing, purging, alchemically transformative time for all of us, making space for these new geometries of knowledge, of wisdom that have always been inside of us, that have been maybe lying dormant up until now, where we are in this cosmic phase of energy, where all this light's coming into the planet now and it's activating the DNA within us. And so it's going to show us new constructs. It's going to show us new ways of thinking, of being, of taking care of our body, especially when you're out in the earth. She's receiving all these frequencies as well. So she's got a lot of content to share with you. You know, maybe turn off the content and go out in nature and listen to her content, right? It's just an invitation for that. So, which is all I'm going to go do right now after having this transmission, because I always have to ground after I'm on social media, man. It just, woof, there's a lot of energy that gets exchanged here. So, all right, I will see you tomorrow. And again, if you'd like to need this content, if you want to follow the show, I was going to say the program. Yeah, the program of astrology. If you want to follow the dialogue that's being invoked into this channel, then I invite you to like, share, send it to your friends and family that you think could relate to this, that could help them as we are all navigating these fields of consciousness, of awareness, and who love astrology and just want to learn to speak the language. So, all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow, day 5 of this cosmic 30-day exploration. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys.